Why are we here? Why are we human? What will bring peace to our world? How can we help? These are the kinds of questions that students ask when given the opportunity to do so. In this section, we are going to talk about the power of questioning, an important part of the inquiry process. Did you know that according to research studies, teachers ask about 300 to 400 questions per day and as many as 120 questions per hour? Did you know that most questions are answered in less than a second? That's the average time teachers allow between posing a question and accepting an answer, throwing it to someone else, or answering it themselves. Children are born curious. If you've ever spent time with a 3-year-old, you will know their favorite word is often why. By the time these same children reach adolescent years, research indicates the number of questions asked is greatly reduced. According to Tavani, author and educator, students are still curious. We just have to find ways to reawaken it. According to Barbara Bess, no one is going to find cancer cure by repeating some fact that experts already know. It will be the researchers' questions that lead to a new discovery. Warren Berger, author of A More Beautiful Question, writes, "In searching for common denominators among brilliant changemakers, one thing I kept finding was that many of them were exceptionally good at asking questions. Instead of honing our questioning skills, it's time we help students hone theirs." When students start asking the questions, they begin to take ownership over their learning. They often become motivated to engage in the inquiry process. The opportunity for students to ask their questions is important to the success of the inquiry, because when students face challenges throughout the information search process, they will more likely remain committed if the questions are their own. The question you are likely asking is, how do we get our students to ask powerful questions? I'd like to share the process outlined in this book called Make Just One Change. This process has been used with groups of students in our school. It elicited some powerful questions from our students. It is a process that you could easily replicate in your own classroom. First, I divided the students into groups of 4. I call these think tanks and talk to students about the reason why they are called think tanks. According to Harvey and Daniels, it is important to spend time developing your students' ability to collaborate effectively, as this will greatly improve the outcome of your inquiry. Next, I shared a statement that would elicit questions from the students. This is called the question focus. The question focus can also be an image. Next, each group was given 1 marker and 1 piece of chart paper, and I reviewed the questioning rules with students before they began. Number 1, ask as many questions as you can. Number 2, do not stop to discuss or judge. Number 3, write down every question as it was asked. And number 4, change any statements into questions. It's important to emphasize that each student will take turns saying their question out loud and writing it on the chart paper. This is because when students hear the questions from others, it may spark their own questions. Students were then given 10 minutes to write down all of their questions. I circulated around the room to ensure that all groups were remembering the questioning rules. We did a popcorn-style share-out where each group shared 2 of their questions. Here are some of the examples that students shared.
How does kindness help us, and why do we do it?
Table 5.
Why do people bully others?
Table 6.
What does peace at Lochside do for us?
And table 7.
Why are kids kind?
Next, we reviewed what snappy, clappy, and stretchy questions were. Students categorized the questions into 2 groups. Snappy, clappy questions that could be answered easily in 1 or 2 words, or stretchy questions that required time, multiple resources, and deeper levels of thinking. Students then practiced changing snappy, clappy questions into stretchy questions and stretchy questions into snappy, clappy questions. Next, each group was then given another piece of chart paper and asked to record all of their stretchy questions on it. The stretchy questions were posted up and students walked around the room to select their top 3. At this point, students determined if anyone else in the class was interested in exploring the same questions. This way, students were paired based on common interests rather than just friendships. Now that you've seen how the process of questioning could unfold with your students, let's give it a try together. I'm going to walk you through the same process that was just outlined. The video will be stopped at each step, giving you time to complete the task. Ready to try? Step number 1. Divide into groups of 4. This will be your think tank. Step number 2. Review the questioning rules. Ask as many questions as you can. Do not stop to discuss or judge. Write down every question as it was asked and change any statements into questions. Step 3. Record your questions. You'll be given 5 minutes to do this. Remember, each person will take turns saying their question aloud and recording it. This will hopefully elicit other questions from your peers. The question focus for this activity is this: inquiry is a powerful approach to teaching and learning. Step 4. Identify snappy, clappy, and stretchy questions and write a C beside closed and an O beside open. Step 5. Practice changing snappy, clappy into stretchy questions and stretchy questions into snappy, clappy questions. Step 6. Record all stretchy questions on chart paper so they can be posted. For our purposes, we are just going to circulate around the room and share 3 questions each group asked. Now that you've gone through the process, our hope is that you've come to realize that changemakers of the world ask questions. Are you ready to empower your students to ask questions? We are here to help.